they're trying to tell you, and you're going to see a lot of rubbish out there in the mainstream, like we did back in 2004, right, when they said that gold was pointless to hold, going gold, the FT, right? The pointlessness of holding gold bullion continues to sink in, and at the time gold was at $400. You're going to see a lot of that, right, coming out. Well, you're seeing it already. So anyway, is it possible that they're coming after our gold, confiscating it, our silver, so they can finance these misadventures? Because as Greenspan said, people are not going to be accepting dollars or even yuan anymore. It's all going to be gold. Well, it's possible, but I think very few people have any gold anyway. And I think the way they might do it is through the ETF, through the GLD, because it's a central place. While it's another reason for you to keep your gold and silver and your valuables safe. There was in a testimony in Congress in 1999 that Alan Greenspan made that comment. He was serving as the chairman of the Federal Reserve, right? And that's what he said. In extremis, gold is the only form of payment. And I've done a little more. He said during wars, fiat money is not accepted. And unfortunately, I think this war is going to get a lot worse. And what we're experiencing, though, in gold and silver and in treasuries and in stocks, even though stocks are holding on relatively well, I'm sure there's a lot of intervention as well. I'm sure U.S. Secretary of the Treasury Bessent is very busy with his publicly funded hedge fund, the Exchange Stabilization Fund, doing all he can to keep the dollar and treasuries from collapsing. And I think part of it is hammering the price of futures, of gold and silver. I don't see people getting rid of their gold just when the world is getting so chaotic. Maybe a few people at the fringes in the Middle East need to sell their gold, but I don't even think the Middle Eastern countries that have been buying a lot of gold and silver are going to be the last thing they sell. Some people think they are selling it. No, I think what they're going to be selling are treasuries. And and as I've said, hold on to your gold and silver for dear life. This is exactly the wrong time to get rid of it. If anything, I'm going to be trying to buy more physical gold. Well, I'm not going to be trying. I will be in the next couple of weeks. I'm waiting for the beginning of the tax year to free up some funds, right? To try to make sure I don't pay more tax than I have to, unfortunately. So, yeah, it's interesting because Alan Greenspan, he turned 100 years old on March 6th. So he's been around a long time. And the essay he wrote, Gold and Economic Freedom, I've talked about it here on this channel quite a few times. Maybe not recently, and I'm going to put a link to it below in the description. And it's a great essay. It explains what gold is, how statists hate gold and the gold standard because it disciplines them. It makes a welfare state very difficult to run. And he believed in all that. And how do I know that? Well, because when I met Ron Paul at the Mises Institute in 2002, he told me the story about Alan Greenspan when he was testifying, because Ron Paul was in the committee, banking committee, and he used to question Greenspan. Ron Paul brought the Golden Economic Freedom essay to him for him to autograph, to sign. And he asked Greenspan, do you still believe in everything you wrote? And he said, I do. He said, the only problem is that the general public, and this is all about politics, they always want the freebies. They always want inflation. And yes, talking about inflation, I think it's going to continue. I've seen that President Trump is ordered Fannie and Freddie to do more quantitative easing or even yield curve control. How are they going to do that? Well, they're going to just like create $200 billion out of thin air and start buying mortgage-backed securities to bring down mortgage yields. Yes, I'm not making this up. This is out on Bloomberg, March 22nd, yesterday. Fannie, Freddie placed large bids for mortgage-backed securities. So there you go. Fannie and Freddie have begun placing sizable orders to purchase mortgage-backed securities, stepping into a market roiled by widening bond spreads and a surge in volatility, according to a person with direct knowledge of the matter. So what does widening bond spreads mean? Well, it means that mortgage yields or mortgage rates are going up faster even than U.S. Treasuries, right? That's what happens in times of crises. And as I speak here this morning, we're quite early today. It's 7:17 a.m. London time. We've got the 10-year yield at 4.42. It's unchanged, but I would say it's going to go a lot higher later on during the day. I'm sure Mr. Besant is buying quite a bit of it too right now. He's probably buying the futures. The 30-year is approaching 5%. But what I'm trying to say here is I think they're going to step in and do yield curve control by basically targeting these treasuries, buying as much as possible so that the yield doesn't go up that much. But the other problem they have is that they focused on issuing a lot of short-term paper, and even short-term yields are starting to go higher. So it's not going to get better. Of course, we have to see what happens in terms of Iran's response. So let's look at the markets, and it looks bad, I have to admit. I'm not getting rid, of course, of my gold and silver. I always ask myself, what would I do if I exchange my gold and silver for fiat trash, right? Because that's what fiat money is, trash. And it finances all these misadventures that governments have, like wars, pandemics, that they create, right? It finances the bankers and their adventures. So just think about that. By getting rid of your gold and silver, you're actually helping these criminal people running our countries, right? It's everywhere. They're everywhere, right? Unfortunately, they're here in the UK, they're in the US, Canada, Israel, Europe, right? So that's what I think. I want to have the money that isn't called sound for nothing, right? I want to have gold and silver. I want to have sound money. And as Mr. Greenspan said, in extremis, no one will accept fiat money. And I think the world's things are getting worse and worse. But as I speak here, gold is down almost $400. We're at $4,100. Am I concerned? No, because I've been through this before. Back in 2008, that's what happened. I was sitting there and I couldn't believe it. Gold should have been going up. But I think a lot of people are talking now about a liquidity crisis, and that could be so. And gold, of course, is the most liquid form of money. It has been for thousands of years, and silver as well. And that's why probably they're coming down. So silver's trading at 61. The Dow is only down 300 points, but I suspect it's going to be down a lot more. S&P is down 58, and the Nasdaq is 100 only down 1%. We're seeing the dollar strengthen, but not much really. The dollar index still trading out around 100, and as I've said many times, the dollar index was at 100 back in 1973 when it was created. Gold was at 85, and here we are 53 years later, and the dollar index is at 100, has gone nowhere, and gold is at 4,000. So that's how I would look at it. I think, if anything, this is how they're confiscating and scaring you away, trying to scare you away from your gold and silver, trying to stop you from also getting some gold and silver to protect yourself. I'm thinking the worst. I think we could see this crisis evolve into a major war. I mean, World War III. We'll have to see what develops, how this week evolves. I think if Iran is still standing after this week, this is going to go on for a long time. And I saw that the U.S. wants, well, the Department of War, as it's now called, they want another $200 billion. And Secretary of the Treasury Bessent said yesterday, I think, in an interview, that they wouldn't raise taxes to pay for this war. So how are they going to pay for it? Well, they're going to borrow, print, and spend, just like they did in Vietnam. But this is going to be Vietnam times 10, 20, 30. That's the other thing. They're trying to tell you, and you're going to see a lot of rubbish out there in the mainstream, like we did back in 2004, right, when they said that gold was pointless to hold, going gold, the FT, right? The pointlessness of holding gold bullion continues to sink in, and at the time gold was at $400. You're going to see a lot of that, right, coming out. Well, you're seeing it already. So anyway, is it possible that they're coming after our gold, confiscating it, our silver, so they can finance these misadventures? Because as Greenspan said, people are not going to be accepting dollars or even yuan anymore. It's all going to be gold. Well, it's possible, but I think very few people have any gold anyway. And I think the way they might do it is through the ETF, through the GLD, because it's a central place. Well, it's another reason for you to keep your gold and silver and your valuables safe.